Second part, we have to add the health prop, and we already discussed health prop is nothing but a kind of check to ensure that your machine are working. In every 5 or 10 seconds your load balancer will send a kind of prop and asking their health, whether they are healthy or not. If they are not healthy, then your load balancer will automatically redirect the traffic to nearest virtual machine. And this is the rule which we defined here. In this rule we specified, okay, what is the name of the rule, and if your front-end IP address, this is your front-end IP address of your load balancer, if anyone is approaching this and on port number 80 and again on the backend port, so where if someone is connecting to this virtual IP address or front-end IP address, you are letting load balancer know what should be the response. So the moment anyone is trying to connect here, the traffic will be redirected to your backend pool, which is your web server pool. And on this health prop, we have already configured. We also understood the session persistence. Session persistence is not only stick, it's kind of sticking session where actually each and every time it will force your client IP or your client IP addresses. Whenever you open any of this web page, it will ensure that it open the same web page and on the same virtual machine it will hit this one of the web page. So these are the three rules that we actually have to work on and we need to configure at the time of configuring your load balancer. Now let's go ahead and do the testing. This is what at the last we have to do it. So as a part of this testing, what we have to do, you can come here on under your load balancer and click on this public IP address. Yeah. Now if I hit enter, it should be opening VM1. It means your load balancer is connecting to VM1. Now if I open another session, probably in Chrome here and with the same IP address, it's opening VM2. And here we have what we had, VM1. Even if you guys also want to try, you can also try with the same IP address. So randomly, what is the function of this load balancer? Randomly it is round robin the traffic here. If some request is coming from my end, now it is just distributing to some other server. And now if I open the same here, again the same, so it will be coming as a VM1. Okay. Now if I open in some other session, probably in private or in private window in IE, so again it will be a something else because it's a new session for load balancer. So it just switching your application from one to another, that we already configure. So this conclude your practical and theoretical knowledge on your load balancer. So again, let me conclude what is load balancer. Load balancer is nothing but just to load balance your traffic. There are two kind of load balancer, public and internal. Public, we use it to load balance your public traffic, and internally also we can use it, and we can also use combination of both public and private. So when you're configuring the private, you should not use the public IP address and vice versa. Okay. Any questions with respect to load balancer, guys? Okay, if none, then let's proceed on the next topic. Yesterday we also covered the traffic manager, and so traffic manager, uh, load balancer, and today we are going to discuss application gateway. This is the third kind of load balancer. So we'll understand theory first, and then we'll again come back here on this portal, and we'll try to do some practical.
I'm sorry, I missed that actually. So basically, how many type of load balancer? Like, you said like 2 type, 3 type, 4 type.
No, there are
So
three type of load balancer, Ahmad, right?
3 type of load balancer. Okay.
Yeah. So the one is your application or simple load balancer. Again, the load balancer has a two type, internal and public. Okay. The second type is your application gateway, the one we are going to discuss, and the third type is
Okay.
your traffic manager. So at
Okay.
by end of this session, I'll let you know what is the difference between each load balancer and how to use effectively in your organization or probably in your lab for now. Okay, so we are going to discuss Azure Application Gateway. This is another kind of load balancer. It is different from your existing load balancer, which we studied recently. We are going to discuss everything now. Yeah, let me.
Sorry,
Uh, yeah, Oli.
what are the similarities and the differences between load balancing and gateway? Because I know gateway is like another hub that it allows you to communicate with another network.
Yeah, so gateway is something that you use it to uh to connect two or more different network, or probably on a dedicated network you want to use it only for the gateway as work as a kind of gatekeeper, where you wanted to isolate your network, and you also wanted to kind of to provide the path to connect your different devices. It is more towards your network appliances. When you talk about uh, load balancer, as the name implies, it balance your load. And when we talk about the load balancer, the balance of load could be your virtual machine load, could be your application load. Say, for instance, that's just now we have seen, right? If 50 users or 100 users are connecting to my virtual machine, and if suppose if we are not using load balancer, so all of the 100 users will be at the same time will be connecting to my virtual machine, and probably my virtual machine is not capable enough to handle all of this concurrent connection. When I say concurrent connection, it means at the same time probably 100 users are connecting, or it could be 150 users. You can't predict, right? So there could be a chance that you will end up, or your virtual machine could really exhaust it, and it could not serve, because the memory utilization, CPU utilization is, it might go beyond your threshold level. So once you implement the load balancer in place before your virtual machine or any of your web app or customized application, the 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 functionality and the feature of your load balancer is to load balance your traffic. It will ensure whenever you have, say, 100 users are connecting, so it will just bifurcate the load. It will ensure the load balancer, if you have two or more virtual machine, so it will just distribute the traffic across all the virtual machine. And if all the new request comes, it will ensure that only lightly loaded server can get the new request, not the highly loaded server. So that is the nutshell of your load balancer, and that is the high level of difference between load balancer and your gateway. Holly, did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's proceed further. This is your application gateway. So in this module, what we are going to cover: application gateway routing, and configuration. So this is how your application gateway work on OSI layer 7, unlike your load balancer, which work on your layer number 3 and 4. So when I say the application layer work on 7, what does it mean? If you recall, or if you must have studied somewhere, we have a OSI layer, which this layer 7 is your application layer. Then you have a something called session layer, then presentation layer, then you also have the network and TCP and your data and physical layers as well. So this application layer will ensure, or this application gateway, since it works on the application layer, on the layer number 7, it ensures it load balance your application starting from your application layer to the end. So if suppose if you have any browser and it has some front end IP address or application gateway in place, so it will just you have to configure listener task, and then these are the rule listener task you need to configure and need to add the backend pool here. Backend pool, and the backend pool could be your virtual machine in Azure, or it could be your on-prem servers or machine again. So what it does, it route your traffic to pool of the web server based on the URL of a request, and this web server can be your virtual machine, scale set, app services, or even your on-premises server. Now, understanding this picture, if you try to understand, this is say end user. They connect to your app gateway, and then on the listener, it just filter you. I mean, this part is a part of your application gateway rule. Then you need to configure this, and then on the back end, you can also say where the rule will be, or where actually which rule or which URL you want to customize it. So there are two kind of customization that you can do in application gateway load balancer. So what all these, let's understand. Here we have path-based routing and multi-site routing. Now when I say path-based routing, what does it mean? That okay, say you have a company. In this diagram, if you're just trying to understand, this is your company and these are the users who are trying to access your contoso.com. And if you already configured the load balancer application gateway, so you have to, this application gateway will ensure that okay, people are accessing and they are trying to request any of the image. So you have the image pool server, and here you have a video pool server. So you are, the moment I am saying okay, www.contoso.com/image, then the moment I type /image, the traffic will go to image server here, and this pool of the server will serve the request to your end user. Similarly, if videos are being requested by the end users, then then request will bifurcate here, and the traffic will not go to image server, it will come to your video server, and from this pool the services can be achieved to your end user, or your request can be fulfilled to your end user. So this part we can configure, and this is known as path-based routing. Now in the another part, which is says your multiple site routing. Say inside your the domain, or inside your you can customize your domain in such a way that, okay, if requests come to Contoso pool or another domain, say you might be having this is quite useful when we have a large organization, large corporate environment, and you could have a multiple DNS, or you can have a multiple sites. So for that purpose, so if people are connecting to Contoso, or they are connecting to any of another subdomain or subsite, then you can also do this routing at your subsite level. That is called multiple site routing. So in application, as you can see, there are a broad range of routing mechanism as compared to your application, or sorry, as compared to your load balancer, what we saw in a earlier slide. So on the high level, what all the difference here when you talk about application gateway load balancer and your normal load balancer. So I'll just write it down here. So it is your load balancer versus application gateway. Both are load balancer only. This load balancer, this work on your layer 4, 3 and 4, and this is working on layer 7 OSI layer. When I'm saying layer, routing you can do very intense routing. You can customize it where it has path base and multiple site base. And we'll also do some kind of a lab right away, just to understand this in a much efficient way. But for now, I want to understand that what is your take on, guys, why we are doing this. What is the advantage of doing this path-based routing as an application owner or as a DB owner? What is your take on that? Okay, if you bifurcate the traffic in such a way, what is the one thing that you are going to achieve out of it? Anyone? Just let's try to understand. I believe it's going to be more theoretically, it's going to be more theory, but let's understand and think from your perspective. Probably you must be some or other way try to understand this concept and try to think from your perspective how it could be useful when you guys are doing something. So what is the advantage when we actually do the path based routing? Does it make any sense? Does it give any kind of a benefit to the server or to the end user?
Maybe performance wise, connecting what you want exactly to segregate the image server and video server. We segregate and we connect what we want, and its latency and performance will increase.
Yeah, great. Yeah, anyone else?
The well, both of the path-based routing will be a little bit slower because there is also routing video along with images, and why the multiple sites will be to have a very good performance, good performance.
Okay.
And we could segregate the security-based user. For example, we are connecting particular site, we can put the group of only user to connect that pool. Other user, we can put them into different group and connect what they want exactly, not to access other stuff. Security, basically. Security groups. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, just yeah, you guys are right. Just wanted to give some more insight here. Yes. So actually, if you think, it's kind of win-win situation for all of the people who are directly or indirectly involved. For the end user, because end user, they are not aware that the moment they are trying to access, whether it is an image server or the video server, they don't want. I mean, they don't bother how the things are set up in the backend or how the things are categorized. But the moment they are trying to access, say, image, so immediately, since we have indexed our application in such a way that, okay, if any user is trying to access the image server, it goes to pool of the server, and it gives or end user can retrieve the respective images. Okay, that is for the end user. Of course, the performance will be awesome, and the overall end user experience will be great. But at the same time, if he's or she or any user wanted to access the videos, again, that could be easily accessible. So from the end user perspective also, the overall experience, the look and feel, and the indexing, everything is okay. I mean, user is happy. Now from the admin perspective, when I say the admin perspective, the admin could be your network admin, and it could be your Azure admin, or it could be any admin inside your organization. So for them also, it is easy to maintain. When you're doing this kind of segregation, it is easy to maintain. When I say the maintenance could be pertain to your storage, or it could be pertaining to your bandwidth. Because of course, when you're trying to access, or when you're trying to access anything, whether it is image or videos, of course the videos, it could, the length of the video could be, say, people are recording their meeting, right, the way we are recording it. So if you're setting, or your company has a kind of team channels, or Cisco, or any of the collaborative tools, so people do record their meeting, right? So when they're trying to access, they do consume the network. So in that way, when you're segregating the traffic, you are ensuring that, okay, the recorded media, or videos are stored in one location. And again, you can also do a kind of storage management there. When I say the storage management, every quarter we have to do a kind of review, that, okay, whether you need these videos or not. I mean, as a part of your cleanup, right? I mean, people from the infra background, they must be doing a kind of cleanup. Okay, if videos are not being used for more than 3 months, or probably more than one quarter, then you can move these videos or the images to some archive store tier. When I'm moving your archive store tier, it means you're not completely deleting it, you're just changing the tier. We have something called hot and cold tier in Azure. In, I think, similar, what we have similar kind of glacier or something in AWS, I'm not pretty much sure. So there you can move this storage, and by moving this storage or the image pool of server, which are not frequently used, you're going to save the money for the organization. and at the same time you are also ensuring that okay, those videos or those data for your end users are safe and sound. And at the same time, tomorrow say again you're doing some reconciliation and again you found okay, these videos are not being used for more than 6 months, and then you have some retention policy that how long you want to keep those old videos or archive, then you can keep it. If not, then you can finally do uh sorry guys, one, so you can do uh completely purging of those data, right? So it will be from your admin perspective also, this is quite helpful, and from your end user perspective also, this is going to give you a complete, feasible experience. Similarly, for the multi-site routing, this is again from your end user, it hardly matters how they are accessing, but yeah, for your you know admin perspective, it is going to be a wonderful walk, and they can do a kind of multi-site. Okay, if the site, if people are accessing this site, so in this site also they can customize different set of policies or different set of applications. Okay, if they want to access some application from this website, then what would be the network bandwidth they need to plan, or how actually the overall admin overhead that they need to look into and they need to spend. So this way also they're going to uh, they're going to get benefit out of it. So this is what application gateway routing provide to us. Now we'll go to the portal and we'll try to create uh, everything in a hands-on experience, or probably in a virtual way, that everything what we can see right now. Let me take you to the portal and let's try to create some of the virtual machine along with some application, and then we'll jump to the application gateway and see how the things work here. Okay, so there are few component before we jump to there. The same component, you can see some of them are similar, as we have already seen. Front-end IP address that we need to configure, then listener, of course, routing rules, backend pool, firewall optional, and health probe. So these are the different set of component. Rather than describing here, let me directly take you to the portal and describe there what all this and how do we configure it. So here it is, my load balancer rule, and let me delete one of the resource group. Okay, I'll delete later on, no problem. Okay, so as part of our application gateway, first of all, again we need to do two things again. We can do it either we can create some web app, or we can accomplish the same way how we did it for our virtual machine. So on the high level steps, again this would be, let's create two VMs, or you can use web app also, but in the web app you cannot customize it, and that is the reason I prefer for VMs, where you can do a kind of customization in IES or somewhere. So create two VMs and installed IES again. I mean, the ultimate goal is to make your virtual server as a web server, and ensure again they are part of availability set or availability zone. Set, and this you have to do it at the time of creation your VMs. Thereafter